Notice is hereby given that the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Town of Iceland will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, March 29, 2022, at Town Hall West on the following applications at the times listed or as soon thereafter as they may be reached. At such time, all interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard. Application number 186-22, Walter and Gloria Duque, to renew permit for two-family, family use only, Residence AA District, west side of 3rd Street, 99.17 feet north of 4th Avenue, Brentwood. I don't think anybody's here on that application, right? The applicant's representative called today and said he was ill and couldn't be here.
For the two-family use only, it's been approved many times, multiple times over the years, based on age. Then wish to be heard in this application. Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicole, I'll take a motion. All in favor?
Application number 187-22, Rosemary Faria, to renew permit for two-family, family use only, Residence A District, south side of Oak Ridge Drive, 303.92 feet east of Spur Drive North, Bayshore.
Come up to the podium, please. Speak clearly, name and address for the record.
My name is Rosemary Faria. The address is 20 Oak Ridge Drive, Bayshore 11706.
How are you tonight?
Good, thank you.
You're here to permit two-family, family use only. It's based on medical. Everything seems to be in order, Mary, correct?
Everything's in order. This is the first renewal. You got your CO about a year and a half ago.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicole, I'll take a motion. All in favor? Application granted, see you in 3 years.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Application number 188-22, Kevin Lillis, to renew permit for two-family, family use only, Residence A District, east side of Pine Avenue, 400 feet south of Annaport, West Iceland.
Good evening.
Hi,
Name and address for the record, please.
Kevin Lillis, 823 Pine Avenue, West Iceland.
How are you tonight?
Good.
You permit two-family, family use only, based on age. I think everything seems to be in order, correct, ma'am?
Everything's in order. Your parents live with you?
I'm sorry?
Your parents live with you?
They did. Unfortunately, my mom had passed away February 19th. So now my sister is still residing in the
Okay. And she meets the criteria?
I'm sorry?
She meets the criteria?
Yes. She's 72 years of age, family, Carol Lillis. I provided her birth certificate.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Wex, I'll take a motion. All in favor? Application granted, see you in 3 years.
Thank you.
Application number 189-22, Nicole Blonder and Marguerite Blonder. Permission to leave shed having side yard of 2.9 feet and rear yard of 3.9 feet instead of required 4 feet each. Residence B District, west side of Feyway Avenue, 100 feet north of Baybright Court, Bayshore.
Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
Marguerite Blonder, and address 15 Bayway Avenue, Bayshore.
How are you today?
Good, how are you?
You have shed a little too close to the side and rear. We see this many times. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicole, I'll take a motion.
Okay.
Would you like to be heard? Okay, sorry. Oh, great. Well, come on up for just for the record. We just need your name and address. I apologize, sir. We just usually blow through the first couple of small, so. No, I'm sorry. Okay. If you just give us your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
Loretta Green, 1659 Pleasant Street, West Rutland, Vermont, 05777.
You drove from Vermont?
Yes.
Of course we did. We've been there 22 years.
Yeah.
I got a house for sale. You want to come? James Green, 1659 Pleasant Street, West Rutland, Vermont, 05777.
Great. What would you like to say?
Just wanted to make sure everything went through. That's all. That we were told to come. So.
Well,
We were going to deny it. Please.
everything was good. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Does anyone else wish to be heard for this application? board have any questions? Mr. Wax, I'll take a motion.
I make the motion to approve that.
All in favor? Application granted. Have a great
Thank
night.
you,
That's it.
thank you.
Application number 190-22, Tanya Washington. Permission to leave roofed over deck having rear yard of 23.5 feet instead of required 25 feet. Residence B District, northwest corner of Cloverlook Lane and Half Mile Road, Central Iceland.
Good
Hello.
evening.
Hi, good evening.
Just name and address for the record, please.
3 Cloverlook Lane, Central Iceland, New York, 11722. Good evening.
Great. How are you?
Okay, and you?
So you're seeking permission to leave roofed over deck. It's a little too close to the rear line.
Yes, yes, thank you, please.
Seems-
Thank you. I said, yes, thank you.
Seems de minimis, and it shouldn't be an issue. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicole, I'll take a motion. All in favor? Application granted. Have a good
Oh,
night.
thank you so much. Thank you. So what I do, wait for the paperwork to come, or I'm fine? Don't come. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too, thanks.
Application number 191-22, Richard and Christina Panetta. Permission to leave screened roofed over deck 11 by 15.1, leaving side yard of 12 feet instead of required 18 feet. Residence AA District, 278 Cluster, west side of Canterbury Court, 602.52 feet south of Montauk Highway, West Iceland. Oakdale.
Good evening.
Hi,
Name and address for the record, please.
Christina Panetta. We used to live at 36 Canterbury Court, Oakdale, but we sold the house and moved to 178 Connectbot Drive, Oakdale.
Oh, you went too fast.
I think my husband filed it
Speedy
before
Gonzales.
we moved. Yes. Yes.
So it's, the household's 10.1, your screen porch is 12 instead of 18. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion. All in favor?
Thank you.
Application number 119-22, Christopher and Michelle Aliani. Permission to leave above-ground pool having side yard of 11.6 feet instead of required 14 feet. Pool deck having side yard of 7.4 feet instead of required 14 feet. Shed having front yard on a through lot of 1.4 feet. And shed having front yard of 22.4 feet instead of required 40 feet each. Residence A District, west side of Cassell Avenue, 2,993.98 feet north of Orinoco Drive, through lot to Robert Moses Causeway, Bayshore.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record, please.
Christopher Aliani, 1090 Cassell Avenue, Bayshore, New York, 11706.
All right, how are you tonight?
Good, thank you.
I'm just going to skip to the shed, the through lot. It's Robert Moses Causeway.
Correct.
See an issue, I'm sure. Family is not defeated. Above ground pool. Yeah, the pool deck. How long has the pool been up?
So we bought the house with the pool up 20 years ago.
So, with above ground pools, we use the terminology like the pool. So if you have to replace it or fix it, you have to apply for it. Yeah.
Sounds good, thank you.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicole, I'll take a motion. Okay. Very nice.
Thank you, have a good night.
Application number 192-22, Ramon Munoz Dominguez, to renew permit for two-family, family use only. Residence B District, south side of Perry Street, 325 feet west of Lincoln Avenue, Brent.
Good evening, Michelle.
Good evening. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting Services with offices at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York. We are here to renew the two-family use. It's based on health, and we did provide an updated doctor's note.
So in order, does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicole, I'll take a motion. All in favor?
Thank you.
Application number 193-22, Virginia Rueda, to renew permit for two-family use only, Residence B District, north side of Thomas Street, 313.25 feet east of Motor Parkway, through lot to Motor Parkway, Brentwood.
Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting Services with offices at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York. We're here also again to renew a permit for two-family use, and this was for age. Date of birth was 1935.
Good. Everything seems to be in order. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? On the board of any questions? Mr. Nicole?
Application number 194-22, Rosa Maria Variances Quintanilla, Walter Escojoyan, and Neftali Variances. Permission to erect second-story addition leaving side yard of 10.6 feet instead of required 14 feet. Roofed over deck leaving side yard of 7 feet with stairs and platform leaving side yard of 6 feet instead of required 14 feet each. And to install driveway leaving side yard of 2 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence A District, east side of Udall Road, 896.45 feet south of Rockaway Street, West Iceland.
Good evening again. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting Services with offices at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York. Good, thank you. We'll start with the driveway, side yard of 2 feet instead of 4 feet. Then we have a proposed second-story addition. We're asking for relief for it to maintain a 10.6 side yard instead of the 14 feet required. It's only going to be on the corner of that second-story extension. The front part of it does maintain 18 feet, and we were able to locate 2 cases where the board granted relief. We have a case 969-02, where a second-story addition was granted relief of 5.8 feet instead of 14 feet. And another case, 439-09, where a second-story addition was granted 5 feet side yard instead of 14 feet. And then we have the roof over and the deck that we're also proposing to maintain a side yard of 7 feet instead of 14 feet. The platform that's connected to the deck, which would bring the stairs down, that platform will maintain 6 feet instead of 14. And the precedent that we were able to find for a second-story deck was case number 101-05, and that was granted at 9.7 side yard instead of the 14 feet. And if you can look at the plot plan and the survey, the house is completely shifted to the right, which is what requires these variances. It's like almost like on an angle. The neighbor has, their house is also pushed all the way to the right side of their property. So there's quite a distance between the proposed second story addition and deck to their home. Currently, the house itself, yes. Just for that one corner where the platform is. So it will.
Let's say you work your way through Udall Road. Let's say the first 5 feet will be 6, 2, 8. The next 3 or 4 feet will be 8, 10. And you have to march your way for Udall Road. Even if we go 6 inches up from the corner, it's the corner.
Well, I can't just answer it because the platform is just that little corner right there. So the platform that maintains 6 is literally just the platform that's required for the stairs to go down. It's not part of the deck.
Okay, that's fair. But what about the deck? On the deck?
Then that would go on a sliding scale from 8 to most likely around 10. I could have them give me an actual distance.
So that corner, so that's 12 where it leaves off. So you have none of the proposed addition is in front.
No.
Yeah. Are you disagreeing with me or agreeing?
I'm agreeing with you.
Are you agreeing with me?
Yes, yes.
So when people say, oh, it's just a corner, it's the entire proposed kitchen. I'm trying to figure out what needs to be done to allow them to go so much of the property line.
Well, the precedent shows an even more deficient side yard. We have precedent for 5 feet and for 5.8 feet on the addition, and we're asking for 10.6.
But we don't know what those cases are. We have to go time.
I actually brought the decisions with me. I could let you know right now exactly what they were.
Could we do this rather than try to figure it out right now? Why don't we send them up and work over time? If there's no other underlying reason, it's not.
I agree with you, especially if it's so quickly, if there's some.
If-
Maybe something comparison.
I can hand them up, yeah.
You want to give us a summary of them?
Do I want one? I'm sorry.
Give us a summary of them, so.
Yeah, I mean, they're usually where it would be like a one-off case, you would have some type of condition on it or like a lengthy decision. These are one-page straight grants. There are no special unique circumstances. It is just a second-story deck with that side yard. Sorry. Do you want me to tell you who signed it? Richshire, yes.
So those are for the second story decks.
So this one is for the second story deck.
Rick Shire to write a paragraph, it must have been a number.
And this one was also Richshire, and this is for the second story addition. Also,
Okay, I got
just
it. I just hoping
there.
that's the whole thing. Thank you.
yes.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Not hearing, I'm assuming. Mr. Rex, I'll take a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor? Application granted.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Application number 155-22, Michael and Hillary Kearns. Permission to leave shed having 4 feet behind the front line of the dwelling instead of the required 20 feet. Residence A District, east side of Keswick Drive, 844 feet north of Manistee Lane, East Iceland.
Good evening, Michael Kearns, 9 Keswick Drive, East Iceland, New York, 11730.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good, how are you?
We obviously saw a shed that looked just like this.
I think that the applicant didn't come to the first hearing.
No, I had to reschedule. I apologize.
That's where you saw it.
So you have a shed that's not 20 foot front line of the dwelling. How long was this? How long ago was this put up?
I put it up about a year and a half, 2 years ago, actually. We had a house fire back in 2020, so we were displaced for a year. We're back into the house in August of 2021, where we decided to also put a 300 square foot addition into the home while we were rebuilding. So when we pulled all the permits to put the addition on, that's when I found out that I was not in compliance with the shed. So, you know, with the final as-built survey and everything, so.
Unfortunately, a few years back, the town board updated the code and wanted the shed used to be able to be 10 foot on front of the dwelling. Now it's 20. And I believe that was 2010-ish. That's 12-ish. Change that code. I'm assuming you have no preference. I don't know what we have to hang our hat on. Say,
The only thing I could say, the reason why we chose that spot to, you know, to erect the shed, and it's a nice maintained brand new shed as well, is the rest of the property is not level. The property, if you're looking at it, is almost like a trapezoid, almost like a pie piece. There is a utility pole in the back corner that we definitely did not want to obstruct. All of the utility poles in that neighborhood are in the backyards of the folks' homes. That was really the only, you know, didn't know the zoning law, obviously, when we put the shed up, but now I'm aware of it, but would like to keep it there.
Yeah. So, we're gonna take a vote that they're gonna reserve and look into this area, look into the hole and all that jazz.
Okay, I mean, if there would be any other recommendations, as far as putting, plants or like, arborvitae around the shed, is the zoning law due to like some kind of like viewing obstruction or something like that, or just to understand? I know it's a zoning law now I'm aware, but just to understand.
Their goal, in my opinion, their goal was they didn't want to see cats over the fences driving down the road.
Okay, sure.
How far could you push it back?
There is a pinch point. There's a deck there. I don't know the distance between the edge of the deck and the fence line. If I had to guess, it's probably somewhere around 12 feet, 14 feet. I don't know. But I would have to push it all the way to the back corner of the yard, near the pole. But as I mentioned, there's nothing in that back property that's flat and level. Everything pitches towards the house. Excuse me?
You're in a different position than most applicants, and you do have to all the way back.
But the reason why we didn't at the time is because the ground is not level.
Right.
It's actually a bit of a dramatic slope.
You have to put it in place. I know it's complicated.
Sure. Okay.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? I'll make a motion to reserve decision. All in favor? We have 62 days by law. We'll do it as quick as we possibly can to get you out of this evening.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Application number 195-22, Salvatore and Marilyn Panetti. Permission to erect one-story addition and second-story additions, leaving floor area ratio of 29.2% instead of permitted 25%. To leave 6-foot fence having second front yard of 1 foot instead of required 10 feet, and above ground pool having side yard of 11.3 feet and rear yard of 11 feet instead of required 14 feet each. Residence A District, southwest corner of Goodwill Lane and Grundy Avenue, Holbrook.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record.
Denise Trefaro, DTT Designs, 1165 Broadway Avenue, Holbrook, New York.
Sorry, my name's Marilyn Panetti, and I live at 36 Goodwill Lane in Holbrook.
What do you think?
Good.
Do you want to speak?
Sure.
on it, or you-
We're petitioning for the FAR. We're increasing the sizes of the bedrooms in the existing house and adding 2 bedrooms on upstairs, and downstairs we're just creating a great room in the back of the house. When we did the investigation to get those permits, we realized that there's a fence that's running 1 foot along the property line, but it's the second front yard because they're on a corner property. So we're going for the relief on that too, if they would like to leave the fence up. And the other is the pools that they didn't know above ground pools needed a permit, and that was just put in this summer.
You have some luck tonight because the town board changed the code a few years back regarding lot areas with the fence on the second yard. They allow it now up to 11,250 square feet. You're fine to 11,291. We're over, but we give a little leniency on that. So I think the fence will be okay. Which normally it's not. The floor area ratio is the CF for 30%. Although the code's at 45, so you're right under that. The above ground pool. 11.3 and 11 instead of 14. Above ground life of the pool. So if you have to replace the pool or fix it, you're going to have to apply inside the rear section. Okay.
If you take that pool down, the new one up, it'll have
Yeah.
in it.
Alright. I think we got everything, right? Floor area, 6-foot fence, pool, right? Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? The board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion. All in favor?
Great, thank you.
Great night.
Application number 196-22, James and Danielle Cooney. Permission to leave shed having second front yard of 15.5 feet instead of required 35 feet, and 11 feet behind the front line of the dwelling instead of the required 20 feet, and 6-foot fence having front yard of 6.3 feet instead of required 10 feet. Residence AA District, southwest corner of Ingrid Court and Terry Road, Papa.
Good evening.
Hey, how are you?
Name and address for the record, please.
James Daniel Cooney, 3 Ingrid Court, Hop New York, 11788.
How are you all tonight? So you have a shed in the second front yard. How long has that shed been there?
We inherited that shed. If you can see a picture of it, it's probably been there since 1978.
All right, so the code has changed, obviously, as you heard, that's probably from the last application. So if it was put up prior to 2012-ish, 10 foot would be fine, which we had that. I think we're okay with that. 6-foot fence. Along Ferry Road, 6'3" and 75. So the unfortunate part is that although the last application you heard us say that the lot size of 11,250 would allow a 6-foot fence in the property line in the second front yard, your lot size is larger than that. So the fence either has to be 10 foot or down 4 feet. You can move it another 4 feet in. We'll cut it down to 4 feet and leave it on the property line and put 100-foot arborvitae behind it. So we fill it out, but we don't make it.
We have big arborvitaes that we just planted behind it. So how far can arborvitaes go towards the street? I mean, so I can put these, it's my pride, so it's the fence that's the issue, not. It's a fairly busy road, that's why I wanted to keep it high as fence as possible.
In comparison to the others, it's the same.
So, you want the privacy?
We want the privacy, well, safety and privacy.
Absolutely.
We just put the brand new fence, replacing a decrepit old fence, and the neighbors love it, and everyone's happy with it. We just moved there a year and a half.
I grew up on the same
But she grew
block.
up on the same block. That page.
Deny.
It's the first time I've had trees, and I could fit. Well, if I don't move the fence back 2 feet into the yard, I could fit probably 3 of my old yards in there.
Honestly, so being that
Which
you're
is
6'3" instead of 10 already, and you're on Terry Road, and you have the arborvitae's up, I think we can write a decision. We'll take a vote. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion. All in favor? Application granted.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Application number 197-22, Michael and Angela Lauer. Permission to leave in-ground pool having side yard of 8.7 feet instead of required 10 feet. Pool patio having side yard of 4 feet instead of required 6 feet. Driveways on property lines not having required setback of 4 feet each. And front yard occupancy of 44% instead of permitted 35%. Residence B District, south side of Cambridge Street, 150 feet west of St. Charles Street, Holbrook.
Good evening.
Angela and Michael Lau, 98 Bridget Avenue, Holbrook, New York.
If you can just pull that microphone down, we can't hear it. Thank you.
637.
How are you tonight? Good?
Yes.
So you're here seeking permission to leave an in-ground pool with a side yard that's a little short. It appears they went off the fence and went to the property line.
Right.
There. Pool patio, 4 instead of 6. Driveways. The only thing I see a little de minimis, there's not de minimis here on this, is that front yard occupancy, we see up to 40%. Your front yard occupancy is 44%. So we normally, as a board, will vote on it. I can't speak to the other members. We'll grant up to 40%. And then however you get to 40%, that's up to back of the front yard occupancy. Too much. So whether it's trimming the driveway back a little bit on the property line, get to 40%, you can speak to planning and they can figure out what you have to cut off to do it, or however you get to that, we'll give you up to 40%. And you just have to get there. Quotes are 35, we give you 40. You have 40.
We're only in the house for a year, so we bought the house like that. We have nothing to do with that.
I appreciate that.
So how did it even go through?
When they this house had a fire, and then we did all that fence. How did this all get approved back in 2020?
You step into the shoes of the food and
Right.
I mean, otherwise people could build right up, imagine somebody built right up to your property line for what they need.
But you look in 2020, they got a CO for occupancy for the house fire. Do they have any, roof permit?
So,
Can they show that?
I disagree with you there, but we have to see we have to vote on what's in front of us.
Right.
How did you get here? What happened here? Why did you
The pool.
pool? So you bought it without it being closed, or you put the pool?
We just, yeah.
No, we haven't.
We have a permit for the pool. They put it in too close to the property line, I guess. So we're here for the pool, not the driveway, and now. Modern comfort pools. Modern comfort pools. In, where are they? Quorum? No, it wasn't. Wasn't sure.
So,
Would you say that the road is fairly narrow? That it's right. Deirdre, are there any precedents? Because we have granted some relief here because of the narrow roadways in the map.
but as Mary just explained to me, this parking lot occupancy was changed in 06, late 06. We have a ZBA approval from with a survey dated 07 that shows all of the concrete and the pavement in the property. So I feel comfortable with my opinion that this was prior to 2006. It was pavement. So I think they have. Yes, would be more of a recommendation.
Concrete.
Thanks, man.
You mentioned that, didn't you?
Thank you.
And they're both still concrete, right? You haven't like resurfaced them or?
No, we haven't done anything.
Right, good job, right? Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? The board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion. All in favor? Application granted.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Lou, you can write that up with,
Yeah, exactly. Appearing that the driveways predate. Application number 198-22, Daniel Akinor. Permission to leave roofed over patio having side yard of 8 feet instead of required 14 feet and floor area ratio of 26% instead of permitted 25%. Residence B District, north side of East Chestnut Street, 400 feet east of Boulevard Avenue, Central Iceland.
Good evening.
good evening, you can pull that microphone up so you can hear. Name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Akuno, 55 East Chestnut Street. This is Matilda ahead of 55 East Chestnut Street, Central in New York, 11722.
Great, how are you tonight?
Good.
You have a floor area ratio, it's a little bit over 25, we see up to 30%, so that should be okay. You have a roof over patio, side of 8 instead of 14. Deirdre, any precedent? That's a roof over a small porch, I think. Anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicole, I'll take a motion. All in favor?
Thank you.
Good. Okay, man.
Application number 199-22, Lewis and Mildred Labriola. Permission to leave pool patio having side yard of 4.5 feet instead of required 6 feet, and hot tub enclosure having side yard of 2.5 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence AA District, south side of Northfield Lane, 224.29 feet east of Hampshire Road, Bayshore.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Richard Tripakowski, 173 North Main Street, agent for the applicant.
Sir?
Very well, and yourself? Very good. The request for a pool patio having a side yard of 4.5 instead of 6 foot, and a hot tub enclosure having a side yard of 2.5 instead of 4 foot is minimal. And as per Google Earth photo, which I can provide if you like, majority of the homes in the area seem to have similar relief, and this will not have any negative impact on the neighborhood.
That's like a little hole over on that hot tub.
Yeah, it is. It actually is.
I think it's all the minimal stage. I don't see any issue with the hot tub enclosure. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicole, I'll take a motion. All in favor? Yes, you may, sir.
Application number 200-22, Patricia and Ryan Fitzgerald. Permission to leave one-story addition, 8.9 by 11.6, having side yard of 4.6 feet, and roofed over deck having side yard of 12 feet instead of required 14 feet each. Total side yards of 16.6 feet instead of required 28 feet, and floor area ratio of 25.6% instead of permitted 25%. To leave addition to detached garage, approximately 5 by 20, having side and rear yards of 1 foot instead of required 4 feet each, and outdoor shower having side yard of 1 foot instead of required 4 feet. Residence A District, north side of Bay 7th Street, 105 feet west of Center Bay Drive, West Iceland.
Okay, this home, when it was sold, and I was hired to legalize it because the house never had a CO because it predated zoning code. The 8.9 by 11 foot addition conforms to the original home setback. Also, lot number 20 to the west of it is also in the same ownership. They were purchased at the same time together. So technically that also provides a side yard setback that is needed. There's no intention of ever building on it separate. Well, typically the town of Iceland, once it does not conform to code, do they not marry them together? But they would not be able to build on it because it wouldn't conform because it was in single separate ownership.
No, I mean, what would prevent the owner of lot 20 from selling the lot? They can do that.
They could do it, but as far as I know, the town would not allow it to be built on because they would do a single and separate search, and it was in common ownership, correct? Right.
I don't have to take them the right to live. But I don't know the money. Well, then again, on the other thing, someone's going to come back and that.
Okay,
What is the dimension of the lot next door?
it's the same as the lot this lot is. It doesn't show it on the survey, but it's the same width, which I believe is, let's see, 40 feet.
I don't mean to go. Why couldn't somebody take sell it and somebody make an application to build on it? My son, it's president of the Lord.
Okay. All right. If the board chooses not to use that as a precedent, then the next thing I would offer is this, that the addition that was put on the house at some time, which wasn't done currently, stays in line with what the house was. It did not exceed or deviate from what the setback of the house was.
Small, it stays in line with the house.
Yes,
The house is CO'd at 4.6.
correct.
That's a better argument.
I'll give you both.
And there's no, appeals for the executive.
Yes.
Sure.
And number two, the roof over deck has a greater setback, again, from the east property line than the house does.
The house is, yep.
And again, this was all done prior to the last two owners.
So now we have a detached garage.
Yes, the detached garage, which I provided photos of, we believe was original to the house also prior to zoning. And when the inspector went there, he saw like a little storage unit off the side of it. But when I looked at the construction, you can easily see it's not the way things would be constructed. It's like tongue and groove. It matches the way that the garage was built. So it appears to have been built at the same time, and it maintains the same setbacks as the garage does.
Does this property even have a CO?
Well, no, that's what we were going for because it predated zoning.
Do we have any aerials? You able to check in on the
I have a Google Earth if you like.
Please, right there.
Oh, the detached structure.
Yeah, I took photos of the inside of it when I sent it in, and that's the reason I did that because structurally, periods of time, the way things are tongue and groove on the plywood, the structure is the same as the garage. It's tongue and groove type of roofing, and even when the inspector was there, he kind of thought so too. So I don't know why it came up there.
Right. Okay, good. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Rex, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to bring it back.
All in favor?
Thank you very much. Have a great night, everybody.
Great.
Application number 201-22, Michael and Donna Nicolosi. Permission to erect second-story addition and to reduce roofed-over porch, leaving side yard 13.7 feet instead of required 14 feet, and floor area ratio of 30% instead of permitted 25%. Residence B District, west side of Inlet View, 262.92 feet north of Bay Place, Bayshore.
Good evening, Ms. Brady.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Charles J. Broody, architect, 30 Bethesda Lane, Sayville, New York, representing the homeowners. As just stated in the call, homeowners seeking permission to construct a second floor dormer, requesting a side yard setback of 13.7 instead of the required 14, and also requesting an FAR of 30%.
You just take some of the roof on the porch and close them.
That is correct. This house was damaged by Sandy back in 2013, and we originally went for a 34 plus FAR on this, but planning had kicked it back down on like about 29%. So in order to try to maximize as much as we can to do this front dormer, sounds a little silly, but the extra percent plus helps us out. So we would have to remove part of the porch in order to do that.
Always see up to 30%. That's okay. I believe the side yards are okay also. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? I'm sorry? I'm sorry, sir. Name and address to the record, please, if you don't mind.
Donna Nicolosi, 15 Inlet View, Bayshore, New York, 11706.
Michael Nicolosi, 15 Inlet View, Bayshore, New York, 11706.
Great.
NICOLOSI. Oh, we are, yes. We wanted to just add, yes. Can we add
So
something?
you want to speak against your application?
No, actually, we were lifelong residents, just moved back from Florida, town of Iceland. Unfortunately, I'd gotten hurt on the job here, needed warmer weather. We just moved back. We were in West Iceland for 48 years. All right. As Charlie explained, our part of it is that there's a small little piece of the front deck. It's literally less than 2 feet, maybe 7 feet wide. We were just trying to see if we could just keep that small little piece without having to take that down.
I thought you were going to say how awesome Mr. Booty was.
No, he's been treated very well.
Okay,
Very well.
Like I said, it's literally only less than 2 feet, maybe 7 feet wide.
I think you're good, sir. I don't want to cut you off. I think you're good.
Oh, thank you so much, guys.
Is
Really
anyone else
appreciate it.
wish to be heard in this application?
Thank you.
Thank
Just
you.
to clarify, you're not asking to not reduce the porch, right?
No, we're asking to keep the porch as is.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
don't think that's what was proposed, right?
We're actually, we discussed it and we just wanted to give our point to see if we can keep that as is.
And that would then change the FAR and it would be higher than 30, isn't that correct, Charlie? So then you would need to amend the call of the meeting and we'd have to re-advertise. So, so the proposal seeks to reduce the roofed over porch in order to capture some gross floor area for the second story addition. The applicant is saying, do we really have to reduce the roofed over porch? We'd really like to do that.
Yes.
Yes, it's literally only 14 feet of.
I know, but you're changing your application.
Okay, we didn't know that. This is all new to us. I apologize.
You can't do that because it's been advertised in public one way.
Okay,
And you want more than the advertised.
I didn't realize that. We would have done that. No, sorry. Well, we just discussed this today, saying, looking at it now. Okay.
Now, we can re-advertise if we come back. You can't do it.
Okay.
So what do we need to do?
So moving forward, what,
Would you like to take an adjournment, re-advertise it?
can we do that?
We can do it. You guys like it.
Yeah, we just don't want to hinder our chances of. Go ahead, Charlie. I'm sorry.
Well, we need a revised denial. I have no idea how we'd be changing it, so it'd probably be about a month out. Right.
Just to let you know though, sir, there was already an approval on this ZBA for FAR once already. They're extending it slightly tonight, Mr. Rudy extended it slightly tonight for your benefit. To be much over 30 unless we have precedent of it in the area, which we can just do some research with planning. We don't see much over 30. I just want to let you know that unless there's precedent in the area for it.
Okay.
Which you would have to do some research on and find out.
And that's probably why Mr. Brody had it that way, get it.
Okay, we don't even know what it would be increased by. We don't know the measurements.
Yeah.
Would that be okay then? If we say then, if we need to cut it back, we will.
I'm fine with that. If you want to reserve the decision within the time period, you can submit something, Mr. Brody, and then the reserve time starts the time you submit. You want 2 weeks to submit? You want 1 week, 2 weeks? 1 week.
If the option is to proceed with a revised application, it will require re-advertisement though.
Can I ask Charlie one last question? Is that okay?
Sure.
I just really like the deck and I don't want to take it away.
All right, then you know what? Based on what you approved this for, thank you. We'll try Charlie put in for. We'll go with that.
You're going to roll with the application?
Yeah, you know what? We don't want to make things difficult and because.
So as it's advertised, that's how we're going to go.
Yes.
Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application?
I do.
Here's the thing.
I'm the wife.
Okay.
One.
Because we can't grant it.
I know.
You want it.
Right, tonight,
And
yes.
if you come back, it may be well over the FAR that we grant, depending on the area, which probably will be.
Do you think it would affect
You're
the,
going to come back to square one, where we're here now.
right, would it affect us even getting the dormer to begin with?
It could because Mr. Brody designed it to do a 30%.
He knows what the
And
code
we
is.
did that by reducing somewhere else. If you don't reduce somewhere else and you still do what you want, you're going to be over 30%.
Okay,
So you could take, just to let you know, you can take an adjournment and do some more research and then come back, but it's going to be, we can't control the applications coming in.
right, and I just don't want to hinder us not even getting it at all.
Well, what Charlie had put in for, that's great.
Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Wax,
Thank you. Chairman, I have a motion.
All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Application number 202-22, Morgan Grunbauer and Maggie Camilleri. Permission to erect one-story addition leaving side yard of 7 feet and one-story addition leaving side yard of 9.7 feet instead of required 14 feet each, and total side yards of 16.7 feet instead of required 28 feet. Residence B District, west side of Rollstone Avenue, 514.92 feet south of Brook Street, Sayville.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Charles J. Brody, architect, representing the homeowners. I would like to try to amend the call, and I hope this doesn't affect everything. My mistake, probably. The rear addition is actually a 2-story, not a 1-story. The side yards for that addition will not be affected in the call. The FAR, we have already calculated that, and that is at 22%, so we're not asking for the FAR. It's just that in the call it says a 1-story, and it's actually a 2-story. The house is currently a 2-story, so it will not exceed what's there.
But the addition at 27 feet from the property line, is that 1 story?
No, that is the 1-story, correct. It's the one in the rear of the yard,
Okay, but let's
the
look at
2-story.
that 1 story.
Sure.
7 instead of 14.
Yes. Yes, there is, according to Deirdre, there is some precedent.
So do we have plans for the 2-story, even though it's saying one at the house is 2-story now? How do we?
But the addition, we want it 2 stories, and you applied for 1 story?
On this application, yes, for the zoning board. Yeah. That was an error on either. Right. Well, okay. Will it dramatically make a difference with the setback?
We can't advertise it. It's what makes it.
That is correct. That is correct. All right.
So what we could do is we advertise it.
Yep, it's still time to put it on for the next hearing, which is April 26th, but you might lose another case that you had on that night.
You don't want
Call the office.
You want to give me half a dozen on one night, huh?
Yeah? Okay.
That would be wonderful. Yes.
We'll take it adjournment until April 29th.
Okay.
We advertise it, and then see you 26th? April 26th.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Do you have any questions?
Oh, I'm sorry, April 12th,
No,
right?
12th.
I am so confused on the
Okay,
dates.
so-
April
It would
12th
be-
is our next
yeah, the
hearing that
12th.
you could make. April 12th, does that work?
That's correct.
Okay.
I make a motion to adjourn until April 12th. Okay. See you April 12th.
Okay. Have a good night.
Do
Thank
your
you.
homework, because you're going to have a lot of cases then. Application number 203-22, Magnolia de la Cruz. Permission to leave roofed over patio having side yard of 11.5 feet instead of required 14 feet. Residence B District, east side of Applegate Drive, 238.97 feet north of Vanderbilt Avenue, Central Iceland.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
The only I want you give me the opportunity for the next time because I needed the people speak English. I don't speak it.
You need an interpreter?
Yeah, you have?
No, she knows.
Yeah, I need it because I know, I know
Darian.
how everything ready, you know?
So you're just looking for a side yard setback that seems de minimis. So I think you'll be okay.
I can come out a day? No?
No.
Okay.
Secretary.
Okay, you have the people for traducing me for the in Spanish.
Does anybody speak
Any
Spanish?
Spanish? Can someone come up here for a minute, really quick?
Yeah.
Can you tell her that it's okay? We're just gonna vote on it?
Yeah, just,
It's all good.
no.
Oh, thank you.
Hold on. Okay. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Ms. Nicole, I'll take a motion. All in favor?
Okay,
Good.
thank
Bye now. Oh, boy. We're all like holding our breath here. Application number 204-22, Wesley and Amy Road. Permission to erect one-story addition, 5.5 by 10.83, leaving side yard of 11 feet instead of required 14 feet, total side yards of 21.8 feet instead of required 28 feet, and floor area ratio of 33.3% instead of permitted 25%. Residence B District, west side of 2nd Avenue, 125.3 feet south of Court Street, East Iceland.
Good evening, Ms. Bennett.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board.
How are you today?
Doing well. How are you? We are proposing a one-story addition on the rear of an existing two-story house. The addition is about 60 square feet. Well, wait until we get to the FAR, Mr. Wexler. You're not going to like the FAR. Yes, I turned in some precedent for the area. We are going from 32.3 to 33.3 percent on the lot. I would like to point out that the FAR is pretty high as is. We're not proposing a large addition, so we're increasing the FAR where we're going up to 33.3. We realize that it is a little bit more than the board likes to grant, but I think we have some precedents in the area for that.
And the 34.5. This house holds 32.3 now.
It's in the area that, in my opinion, that the lots are pretty small and the houses are pretty large in that area. It's probably one of the oldest areas of East Iceland. It's like the first, second, and third avenues, right south, north of Main Street.
I'm okay with it. Unless you're not. You guys are voting for it? Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Wexler, take a motion. All in favor?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Wexler.
Application number 205-22, Robert and Elvira Castellano. Permission to leave second-story deck having side yard of 7.2 feet instead of required 14 feet, and to leave deck 18 inches in height having side yard of 0.7 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence B District, north side of Deer Road, 160 feet east of Haven Avenue, Ronkonkoma.
I'm sorry, excuse me, ma'am, on the phone, your voice, hello, your voice is carrying up, you can't do that.
Good evening.
Good evening. Louis Castellano, 2701 Middle Country Road, Lake Grove, New York. I'm here on behalf of the applicant.
How are you today?
Thank you.
Thank you for seeing us tonight. The applicant happens to be my brother. He has lived there for about 25 years. The deck that's existing has been there for 20. He wants to replace it with a 20 by 10 same size deck with tracks and a white privacy railing. He had the deck built by a contractor. The guy never took out a permit. We spoke with all the adjoining neighbors. No one has a problem with it. And it's existed for over 25 years. I've given you some photos. There's quite a few houses in the area, the same situation. It's 7 feet off the fence line. And he's got 14 feet to his house. There's 21 feet between his house and our deck. Yeah, we're 7 feet off his deck. He was here before. Side of his house. It doesn't look into his backyard.
What is planning going?
We would put up a privacy railing on the right-hand side. Yeah, he has he hasn't any deck or anything on that side of his house. Everything is on the other side of his house, so it doesn't interfere with the neighbor. He was here, he left. He didn't have a problem with it. Once we explained to him what we were doing, we was replacing what was already there. So. I believe that in the photos I sent you, there's a lot of 60-foot lots in Lake Hills there. You'll see the photos I sent you, very similar decks on most of these inline high ranches in that neighborhood.
That doesn't mean they're legal or permitted.
No, yeah, I know that.
I appreciate the photos, but we can't go off from that unless we knew that they were permitted.
Right.
And then we probably have some precedent for them. And
Also, if we grant this, we'll have to grant everybody else.
I understand that.
And that's only 20.
Right. What would the board be comfortable with?
You in any rush? This house?
No, he just wants to legalize it and get a new deck built. We didn't want to, and the first contractor that did it without a permit. He wasn't aware of it. We want to get it done correctly, and I told him go to the zoning board and get it finished. Don't do it wrong. Don't do it wrong twice.
So I think we're going to look for the board to reserve, but I'm going to give you one thing to think about before we make the
Okay.
reserve. There's precedent area of 9.9. If you're going to be redoing the deck, we could square this away right now at 9.9 on the side yard instead of 7.2, and
That would give us what size deck? 8 foot.
we'll give you a side yard of 9.9. You're asking for a side yard of 7.2 right now instead of 14. We're giving you a side yard 9.9 because that's the precedent in the area, or we can reserve, which is 62 days, and we can discuss it, and then you'll get a letter in the mail.
So you have an 8 foot deck side yard. 8 foot deck. We'll take it.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
9-9.
All in favor?
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Have a great evening, sir.
Application number 206-22, Mariah Hernandez. Permission to leave one-story addition having side yard of 13.9 feet instead of required 14 feet. To leave 3 coops. Coop 1 having rear yard of 3.5 feet. Coop 2 having rear yard of 2.6 feet. And Coop 3 having side yard of 4.6 feet instead of required 10 feet each. And rear yard landscaping of 35.6% instead of permitted 40%.
Good evening.
Residence A District, south side of Juniper Street, 150 feet west of Iceland Avenue, Iceland.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Mireya Hernandez, A Juniper, Iceland.
How are you tonight? Do you want to say your names too, sir?
My name is Mario Valencia, 23 Cypress Street, Central Islip, 1172.
Microphone, we can't hear you.
My name is Dario Valencia, 23 Cypress Street, Central Idlib, 11722. I am representing Mrs. Mireya for this hearing.
Great.
Okay, so we are looking for the permission to keep a first floor addition with the side yard 13.9 feet and the required is 14 feet.
Yeah, that's only, we're good with that. 13.9 to the 14, that seems de minimis. Let's talk about the coops.
Okay, we have three coops. The first one, all are in the rear yard, and the first one is 3.5 feet rear yard, and the required is 10. For the second one, is 2.6 feet, and the required is 10 too. And for the third one, is we have 4.6 feet, and the required is 10. And I received the letter. We received the letter from the town.
You're gonna
What?
have to move the chicken coops to 10 feet.
All three? No, it's three.
And the rear yard occupancy, what do we see up to?
Yeah, okay, we have a 35.6%, and the required is 40%.
Yeah, which was real landscaping. I think we're good with that. Right? Gotta move the chicken.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicole, I'll take a motion.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Application number 207-22, Kupan and Shamali Das. Permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Iceland Town Code Section 68-602. Residence AA District, northeast corner of Erie Street and Ocean Avenue, Ronkonkoma.
Good evening, Mr. Buscemi.
Good evening, Larry Buscemi, agent for the Gupa, for the Dasas, PO Box 679, Mount Sinai, New York. And I want to say right off the bat, Mr. Wexler, you can't speak for the chickens. You don't know. They might be very insulted by the move. Chickens don't like change. This is a standard accessory apartment application. I believe we meet all the requirements.
585 square feet, driveway complies, owner occupied.
Yes.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? The board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion. All in favor?
Have a good night. Don't feel too cooped up.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Application number 208-22, Sylvia Suarez Morales. Permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Iceland Town Code Section 68-602 and to leave roofed over cellar entrance having side yard of 5.95 feet instead of required 14 feet. Residence B District, north side of Hickory Street, 100 feet west of Prospect Avenue, Central Iceland.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Name and address for your record, please.
My name is Maria Hickey, Victory Expediting, 606 Johnson Avenue, Suite 25, Bohemia, New York, 11716.
How are you tonight?
Fine, how are you?
What's the case?
Well, here's the homeowner here, and she just wants permission for her accessory apartment. And I see here that, well, she has a side entrance that is used for emergency egress because it's recreational finished basement, and the children do use that, and so she does need that side entrance exit. So we're asking for.
Never to be enclosed?
I'm sorry.
Cellar entrance never to be enclosed? You can't enclose it, make it part of the house. Cellar entrance.
No,
Never to be.
no.
I don't know if we have approval from the driveway's not big enough to hold 4 cars at one time. So the driveway was denied.
Right. She's going to work on that now. She's getting her finances together, and she's going to get on top of that. That's her next job. She's going to do is work on the driveway and have that expanded.
So it's going to be subject to the driveway.
Yes,
compliance.
I understand.
I think I'm planning, I'm assuming you're okay with the cellar entrance never to be enclosed. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Nicole, you have to take a motion.
Yes, we understand. Thank you. Yes. Okay, thank you.
All in favor? See you in 3 years.
Okay.
Take care.
Application number 209-22, Jamie Sanchez and Milagros Gonzalez. Permission to leave roofed over patio having side yard of 2.8 feet instead of required 14 feet. Residence A District, east side of Parr Lane South, 251 feet south of Pandora Drive, Brentwood.
Hello, board. Good evening.
Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, my name is Jaime Sanchez, 11 Carlin South in Brentwood.
How you guys doing? My name is Juan and his nephew. I'm just helping him out.
Great. Excellent. So you have a roofed over,
Gonzalez.
we have a roofed over patio that's really too close to the side yard, 2.8 instead of 14. Do you know if you have any precedent in the area for side yard setback? If not, we can ask you.
We do believe that there are a couple other roof overs in the area, similar to the one that we have. I mean, we don't have the same software that you guys have to figure it out.
Do you have any precedent for side yard setback on your code? So that's the issue. There's a granted 8-foot side yard. You have a 2.8-foot side yard.
We were attempting to get closer to where the patio starts. It's actually kind of like in a triangle shape, the side yard. So we're going to be closer to the fence line on one side, but we'll be probably around 8 feet on the other. Yeah, it's nice just for the summers and the winters to be able
Oh,
to.
I understand. Unfortunately, if we grant it to you, we'd have to give it to everyone who came in and asked. And we.
Well, the problem is, it shows that 4 feet, if we go down to 2.8.
I agree. What we're asking for is to get closer to the patio. The roof over is about, I would say, 4 or 5 feet over the patio onto the side yard. So we'd bring the roof over back closer to where the patio is.
So they're going to put a roof over. No, they just take the roof over it. So back here is the that's what they're
I got you.
This is correct. That's exactly what I'm
Yeah.
It's going to be not the president of one corner. You guys good with that? Join you with it? Does anyone wish to be heard in this application?
So it looks like zoning wrote the call of the meeting showing the existing roofed over coming almost all the way to your fence. And you're saying you're going to pull it back from the fence, correct?
From the furthest point, because like you said, the side yards are on an angle in this specific lot. So at the point that he's speaking of, that's where it's going to be the precedent. No, it did come back a little bit, but definitely not at the precedent, just because of the way that it owns a lot of angles. It would just be, might as well take the whole thing down at that point.
Here.
We're requesting this, by the way. It's, we have to take it down here. Take it down.
Well, Brian, would you have
Okay. Thank you, sir. Yes, it's already up. No, a code enforcer was driving around and he saw it. So he knocked on the door and we politely engaged. I wasn't there at the time.
So we're clear, you're offering to reduce the size of it, right?
Yes, to the precedent on that one corner, only because of the angle of the lot.
Okay, so you're reducing the size of it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there's no need for the board to consider 2.8, correct? Because that's the closest point, and that's the part you're talking about reducing.
That part will get reduced, but not to the precedent, due to the angle of the lot.
Maybe about 4 feet or 5 feet?
I would say 4, if you can grant 4. Just in that one area.
Yep.
Okay.
So if the narrowest place becomes 4 feet, and then extend from there.
Yes.
Okay, good. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions?
I have one last question. If we wanted to put the roof over in the rear side of the house, would that just be a separate permit?
Yeah. Okay. You have to go back.
Well, you're going to be getting a permit now, because you're going to be doing some reconstruction, so maybe you can work that in.
Okay. All right, no problem.
Mr. Cole, you have to take a motion.
Thank you, sir. Perfect.
All in favor? Have a great night, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Application number 210-22, Nesty Saiku. Permission to erect two-story addition 13 by 25.6, leaving side yard of 9.55 feet instead of required 14 feet, total side yards of 18.15 feet instead of required 28 feet, and floor area ratio of 37.2% instead of permitted 25%. Leave portico having front yard of 16.63 feet instead of required 25 feet, and driveway having side yard of 0.41 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence B District, south side of Van Buren Avenue, 200 feet west of Toomey Road, West Iceland.
Good evening.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Mark Anthony Monastery, architect. My office is located at 1563 Belmore Avenue, Belmore, and I'm representing my client, Nesty Saiku, who is the owner and occupant of the property. It's Munisteri.
Can you just pull that microphone down, sir?
Certainly. Is that better?
There you go.
Good. So this evening, we're requesting variances for a proposed two-story side addition that would include a first-floor garage and a second-story bath closet and dressing room for the primary bathroom. This 13 by 25.5-foot addition would not meet the side yard and aggregate side yard requirements, as well as increasing the floor area ratio. Additionally, we'd like to maintain the existing front portico setback and driveway side yard setback. Absolutely. That is correct. So, say it again. I was hoping that lovely young lady would tell me if there is or not, because there's a lot of large houses over there. Seems not.
Can I make a suggestion?
Be so bold.
Go back to the drawing board.
Okay. So, and just to the question, I have no problem with that. The 32.5 is pretty much my max, or I'll be able to tickle just a little past that.
I think that's going to be, yeah, that's your max. And
So the house is 28.5 now.
yeah, we see up to 30.
Right. I understand. Hi.
And it's a one-off, not as though they're 8 in the range, but one
Well, then what I'd rather versus a German is yes, sir. Save us all some time.
So you have side yard 9.5 instead of 14.
Correct.
You guys have any issue with 9.5?
Deirdre, can you tell us the case, can you tell us the 32.5? Do you have the ZBA number?
You know, my recommendation
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add to this.
It's only the back corner though, it's on an angle of property.
It is an angle
So it's
property, yes.
11.10 in the front of the side. So we'll go
The
back
back tapers to just
tapered
70.
back the way it sits. So we have 30, you're gonna do 32 on 32.5 on the max FAR. Mean front portico 16.63 instead of 25.
So the existing house actually sits closer to the property than 25. So to meet the requirement of the 25-foot setback, you couldn't have any whatsoever. And this is just a 5-foot deep portico in front of the house,
Never to be enclosed.
never to be enclosed.
Okay. And side driveway point.
It's 5 inches versus 4 feet. It's a paved driveway. It was there previous to my owner. Yes.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Rex, I'll take it over. All in favor?
I thank you all for your time.
Have a great night.
You too.
Application number 211-22, David Dellavecchia and Rachel Dellavecchia. Permission to erect two-story dwelling on lot having area of 8,397 square feet instead of required 11,250 square feet, having living area of 840 square feet instead of required 900 square feet, leaving rear yard of 21.6 feet instead of required 25 feet, front yard of 25.4 feet, and roofed over porch leaving front yard of 20.4 feet instead of required 30 feet each. Business 1 in Residence A District, east side of Patio Avenue, 90 feet south of Montauk Highway, East Iceland.
Good evening, Mr. Delvecchia. How are you?
Good evening, board. David
Name and address
Delvecchia.
for the record, please.
I'm sorry?
Just put the name down for the record.
David Delvecchia,
What's your address?
120 Wood Hollow Road, Great River, New York.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We have a letter from an architect. I'm assuming it's your architect. That he is no longer associated with this. I don't know how we can remove his record, his name, but it's submitted. But you're going to proceed with that, your architect?
You mean for this hearing? Yes, I am.
Rick?
He just left me. I don't get it, just like that.
now, we don't debate that. Before you start, what precedent do you have to direct the people in front of
I don't know if there is, President.
But it's small, one story, right?
It's a small one. No, I'm not making the property. Right. I came to the board before it was listed as an extension, and now it's listed as a new home. I guess because I'm putting a certain amount of square footage or whatever they changed it. I did get approval for this already, but now being that it's changed over to a new home, or they're considering it a new home, now I'm in front of you again.
So 2021 days, the zoning board approval, permission to erect one-story addition leaving front yard of 25.4 instead of required 30, and rear yard of 21.6 instead of the required 25. And that was approved by this board.
So I remember, now I remember the picture.
Yep.
We approved the same thing.
We just
Same application.
approved an extension. So, Dave, why was it back?
Determine that a certain amount of the house is being moved.
All the plans are down there to determine the sense of the house is being moved or changed to the application. Again, it's not just extending. We still can't get bad. You want double the size of the house on the property.
But
Little property,
it's a cape. I plan on making a cape. That's the plans. So it's really a one-story house. Maybe in the future, then possibly doing a second story on the cape. But it's not. I see that it's shown as a two-story, but maybe the terminology is. I don't understand. It is a Cape Cod. That's what it is.
We don't. Correct.
what is that? Does the house have a CO?
No, because it was built, I think, before that.
But what is planning's wish on this? But he's building a cape size. He's building a cape. He's not building a full.
It's for my daughter. That's the house. Yes. She is little.
Okay. But
I'm building this for my daughter.
you know, and I don't know if this is true or not, maybe they can help us out with understanding this, but sometimes in the Cape style homes, they don't finish the upstairs Cape part of living space until after. Is that what you're doing?
Possibly in the future, yes, but as of now, because I was going to do the Cape, I figured that maybe in the future she has children or something, then we want to build up, then we come in front of you guys again and build up.
I see where you're trying to go. And I don't have a problem. I think you're trying to build a small case.
Yes.
I get it.
And make the house nice. That is 14 years it's been like this. I've only had it for a year and a half or 2 years. I mean, I can make it beautiful, and it will stay small. It's not a big house.
But it's still like you're going to tear down what's there right now. You're not. You're going to just.
They're asking me to tear it down because when I came in front of this board last time, it was for an extension. Nothing changed. I didn't know of. And then the planning board says, "Wait a minute, you're taking down. I mean, you're putting too much square." I don't know what he really said, and he just says you have to go back and do a new home kind of thing. And here I am.
Is there anything to build on this? Don't you have to take it down? You're not gonna try to build on it.
No, I have an application to take it down because he said so. So I did all that. I got all my disconnects. I got all that in order.
Doesn't that make sense? That you take it down?
On March 8th, the town board passed a resolution that it has to be taken down by a certain time.
Right.
Did you submit the disconnects to the building department today?
No, I put all the applications into Board of Health. I mean, no, Board of Health, I actually have that one. But the Keyspan, PSEG, Suffolk County Water, all those request letters have been in and completely filled out. But they come and give you back when that's going, like what date they can do it. So that has all been done. And I have records of that.
I'm still wrong. Oh, is that the goal, to take the house down and build the case?
Yes.
The town board said you have to take it down by I believe it was April 1st.
April 1st, they wanted to see activity.
Activity, and I do have a list of activity. I have everything ready to go to the board, except that when you go get those disconnect letters, I mean, you apply for them, you give them the deed showing that's the house, and fill out their application. They then, in return, have to give you a date that they're doing it. I did apply for every one. Yes, I did. Department of Health, everything I had.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board, does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions? Mr. Wexler, I will take.
Okay, I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
All in favor?
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Good night.
Thank you. Just for the record, will it be considered a single-story house, Cape?
Well, it's a one-man story book.
And if I don't finish it, which I'm not, and
That's what you have to do with the building department. They're gonna do inspections, you know that. They're gonna do inspections and everything in that, so.
gotcha. All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Application number 212-22, Salvatore and Grazia Rizzo. Permission to leave one-story addition, 22.5 by 24, leaving rear yard of 18.18 feet instead of required 25 feet, side yard of 9.6 feet instead of required 14 feet, total side yards of 27.26 feet instead of required 28 feet, having floor area ratio of 40.35% instead of permitted 25%, to leave driveway having side yard of 2.5 feet, and patio having rear yard of 2.8 feet instead of required 4 feet each. Residence B District, south side of Richmond Street, 1,275 feet west of Comac Road, Iceland.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman, honorable members of the board. It's Ves Mitev, V-E-S-S. Last name is Mitev, M-I-T-E-V, Mitev Law Firm PC, 1214 North Country Road, Stony Brook, New York, 11790. Good evening. Living the dream.
Can we go right to the FAR? 40.3.
You know, that guy left. There's no chicken jokes I can make. I can just tell you, some days you're the peacock, some days you're the feather duster. So do with that what you will, Your Honor. I got. And Mr. Wexler, I think I think you can appreciate that as well. So, here we are. Gotta tell you, it's been in existence for over 20 years. I guess is the only point I can add. And there was 2 decisions on this in the files in '92 and '95, both of which spoke about the initial variance that was granted. Percentage-wise, it's not as it's not
So
as
we have 34.7.
right.
That was. Yep, that was approved, right?
34%, I believe, was granted, and then they denied it in 1995.
Wow. So 34.7 was denied back in 95. And back in 92, 27.5 was granted.
Correct.
So how now are we supposed to look at this and say 40.35 is okay?
I hear you. The question begs itself. All I can say is, the past is prologue, and again, the house has been in the community in its current state. I think they took great steps to improve the nature and the character of the property. I understand the FAR issue cogently, which is why I led with that. But that's obviously a concern of the board, and if you reserve decision or if you deny it, they're going to have to. Great question, Mr. Solon. So basically, my advice initially was to wait until the house is sold, but this is one of those where they wanted to fix it now so as not to have to deal with it at closing 2, 3, 4 years down the road. I think they're looking to retire and move on with their lives at this point after having been in there for a quarter century. They had what I believe, my recollection is that this was initially on the market or about to be, and then all these issues popped up. And at that point, they said they wanted to take care of them first before putting it back on and before we entered the second housing bubble in the last 16 years. So here we are.
I know it's not your doing, but somebody just does
I will note that I've built my legal career on setting precedent for whatever that's worth, but I understand that may fall short here. On setting precedent, but I understand it may be sorely lacking here. So, second department, 59 decisions in the law journal, things of that nature. Thanks. All areas: matrimonial, family court, criminal, civil rights, commercial division, but. It's anecdotal, but my name appears in it 690 times, which I think is unmatched in the state of New York, or whatever that's worth, which may not be worth one iota.
Really quick one, Mr. Wexler, over 5 yards. because I don't know how else to say this other than we don't have any precedent above 30%, 30.6 actually was that.
I'm so sorry, Chairman. I thought the gentleman here just got 32.5. Did I?
Oh, he has precedent. So you need it.
Right. I believe so, yeah, over the brick patio there. Yeah. It's a great point. You know, I had a colleague here tonight, Joe Walker, with Double Check, and he was supposed to provide that information. I don't know if he did or not, I'll be honest. Yeah, that might be the best
Yeah,
solution.
if a little more information here you can find, then maybe we have a better argument to say, okay.
So we're at 30, just so I'm clear for my own
Well,
edification.
we give up to 30%, or if there's precedent within 500 feet, then we can say, okay, well, we gave it 32, and how can we not give you 32? But we have nothing. So if you want to take an adjournment, do some more work and see where you possibly could cut back, speak to planning, that may be a way to go.
I'd appreciate that if the board allows it. I doubt it, but maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking no on this one. But
So you want to give a little open adjournment until you get some information, you can call us and get us.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Does anyone wish to be out in this application? Does the board have any questions? I make a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Thanks very much for your consideration. Good night.
Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you. Do we have any readings?
We do. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know, I want to.
Gentlemen, is there a reason why you're here for? I just to check, listen. Excuse me? Yeah, come on.
Oh, yeah, don't cut it yet, though. No, we got to stay on.
Is there an application that we missed?
January 4th was our last meeting, and I wasn't sure if I was, after you meet with everybody, you guys do. Whatever is left over that you got to catch up on, and I just wasn't sure if my name was going to be up. Where,
We reserved on January 4th.
Yes.
And what is your?
So we're going to go into public session now. So the way public session works, I'm one of the only ones that's not a lawyer up here, but I'll explain to you the way it works. The way public session works is you have the right to be here to listen, but not to speak. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you, sir. So you can listen if you like, but.
Before we do that, everyone, we have 21 accessory apartments to renew. Do we have a motion to renew those?
All fair?
Yeah. And we do have some read-ins. Okay, everybody. Application number 17-22, Adam and Elisa Candreva. In accordance with the proposed written decision dated March 29, 2022, the application is granted in accordance with the revised plans submitted post-hearing. On motion of application number 708-21, Beach Bliss LLC. In accordance with the proposed written decision dated March 29, 2022, the application is granted on motion of application number 558-21, Sheikh A. Binda. In accordance with the proposed written decision dated March 29, 2022, the application is denied on motion of Application number 47-22, Brothers Duo LLC. In accordance with the proposed written decision dated March 29, 2022, the application is granted in accordance with the post-hearing clarification of the sign area. On motion of
Aye.
application number 92-22, MD McCool Mia, formerly Maureen Kelly. In accordance with the proposed written decision dated March 29, 2022, the application is granted for a period of 3 years, sufficient documentation having been submitted indicating compliance with the accessory apartment program and owner occupancy by the new property owner. On motion of,
All in favor?
okay, that's a wrap. We'll be off in 10 seconds.
Yes. What happened?